Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education by Kate Colbert and Joe Salustio with contributions by Elvin Freites is now available for pre-order on Amazon. Get your Kindle edition or your softbound book. It's going to be
amazing.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp here on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio here with you again on another episode. And I want to tell you guys, as of the recording of this episode, we're literally, it's like nails on a chalkboard. We're at 199,500 downloads of this podcast. By the time you hear this podcast, we'll have passed 200,000. But I can't find that I'm able to do anything today other than watch that ticker go up, because 200,000 feels like a pretty awesome number. And you continue to humble us with your messages, letting us know that you like the work that we're doing, which is important because some days it is pretty tough to keep it going at this pace. So we appreciate all the feedback that we give. We're going to continue to tackle the issues within and around higher education and let you hear from leaders that are doing the hard work of serving students today. I always love when I have, as you know, a first-time guest co-host, first-time guest. Here with me is my guest co-host today. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He's Mark Economon. He's Senior Account Executive Digital Marketing, Advanced 360 Education. Mark, what is happening?
Howdy, guys. It's a great day today.
You're right. It is a damn good day. And we're going to have a great conversation about what's going on in higher ed with my guest today. She's made it complicated for me to get her intro right, but I'm going to do it. Here we go. Olivia Quintanilla. She's owner at Texas Technical Trade School. Elvia, did I get it right?
You got it right. I know it was a tongue twister. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. And, we want to, we celebrate the trades here at the EdUp Experience because we know you should be too when you try to go get somebody to do something at your house and you can't find anybody, or it's a month-long wait or 3-month-long wait, and you go, why isn't there anybody that does this anymore? And then it's people like you, Elvia, that are working to train these folks so that we can find people to do the hard work. Talk about Texas Tech Trade School. What do you guys do and how do you do it?
So we are a trade school under the Department of Labor, under Texas Workforce Commission here in Texas, but we are located in Houston, Texas at the time. And what we focus is skilled trades. I am in love with skilled trades. The reason why is because it's one of the fastest way to entrepreneurship for our kids that are kinetic learners. And it's a great, profession. It's not just a job. So, we focus right now is, high demands that the state has said is high demand. It's not what I said. It's electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and construction. Those are 4 components that I want to tackle. I understand there's a lot of other ones, but I want to focus on those trades because those are the ones that I've seen when I've worked in other schools that have gotten the best return of investment for that student, for their time and their money.
So electrical, HVAC, what were the other 2?
Construction and plumbing. Those are coming soon. Right now we have electrical, but those are already in the works. Mm-hmm.
Love it. Well, yeah, I mean, we need, this is the hard work, right? I was, I just bought a new house here in St. Charles, Missouri, as I work at Lindenwood University, and my wife was trying to get some electrical work done, and somehow, and I mean somehow, she convinced this guy to come by because he was booked out 3 months just to come do some basic electrical work in our house. And I'm like, this cannot be possible. What's demand like? I mean, the state's telling you, here's what we need. What's the demand? I mean, are there people interested in these trades, or do people want to do the hard work?
So that's the problem. We need it. The demand is there, and people are aging out as far as they're retiring from these trades. The older population's already retiring, but there's no new generation going into it. And That's where the problem is. We cannot all be doctors. We cannot all be lawyers. We cannot all be, engineers. That's not saying that you're not smart enough to do that. It's just that we need technicians. They're the backbone of America. So who's going to be doing those jobs? And you put yourself in a really good position now if you're into these trades, because people forgot that we needed technicians and they took them out of high schools, all these programs like wood shop and things like that. So now they're seeing that the consumer price for us to get this trades done, it's crazy because people are not into it. So the state has deemed these high demand trades, therefore great thing for us as well. They pay for them. They pay for your school because it's a high demand trade. So you go to school for free, and then you go into get a job that is high demand, high paying job, 16 to 18 to $20 an hour, just an 8-week course. 8-week course.
That's insane. That's insane.
Mhm.
Mark, what do you think about all that?
Oh, she's telling it exactly the way it is right now.
The language.
Oh yeah, and Joe, exactly what you went through. We just finished moving, and getting anybody to do any kind of trade work, it's impossible.
Yikes! Very difficult, and can be very expensive now.
It's not only very expensive, but at the same time, too many of the kids today have not realized that there is an alternative and going into the trades. So that's part of my equation, is making sure that information is being processed and passed along to them, so they understand what the options are. Once again, a lot of them are always thinking, hey, mom and dad are telling me that I need to become an accountant, or I need to become an attorney or a doctor, not realizing that they have a quick pathway and going into a trade and making very good money. In some of the marketplaces right now, there are bonuses being paid for air conditioning contractors, where basically their tuition is paid for. So it's very high in demand.
What does this look like, Elvia? So the state comes to you. How does this look? How does it work? Do you have a representative come out and say, hey, look, here's the programs? I mean, is that easy? Or is it, here's what we need? Is there funding? Do you get funding? Do you have metrics that you have to meet? Does the report outs to the state? Can you talk about the infrastructure and how do you operationalize this?
Definitely. That's one of the biggest thing, I think, actually, is not enough information on these amazing programs that are here in the state of Texas. I cannot speak in other states. I can only speak for Texas because that's where I'm versed in. And these are amazing programs under the Department of Labor, under Texas Workforce Commission. There are programs that they already get the data themselves. That's what they do. They research what are demands that, their jobs that are not being filled, and what skills there needs to be in order for that person and that student to get that job. So the Department of Labor wants you to work, of course, because they're the Department of Labor. So they create these programs, and now these programs are from the underserved community. So if you have a background that's not sexual or murder, if you're a foster kid or aged out of foster care, you're 100% qualified. If you're a veteran that has low income, all these families that are living in government assistance that don't even know that they actually do have money to go to school because of that obstacle in their life. And they don't come to me to talk to you about this. They don't come to you. So, I mean, the state's so big and they're so busy. I understand that. So they have so many programs. So when I came into this 10 years ago, I've been in this field. I came as a 23-year-old, not knowing anything, just needing a job because, I had separated, at the time. And I was like, I have a, 6-year-old son, and I need to make sure that I don't depend on anybody, so that was my mentality then. And then I stumbled upon this program through the Workforce Solutions, because they also help you look for work. So they were like, oh, customer service, you can go here and work as a customer service rep. When I went into that school, it was so small. It was like 4 people. When I found out what I was going to be doing, I was like, how come people don't know about this? I was like, why do people not know there's free tuition? I said, I can even get this grant. And I did. I put myself in the grant, and I went to HCC Community College and did petroleum engineering technician. $12,000 the state paid for it because I was a single mom. And these things people didn't know. So I was like, this is amazing. I'm not asking for anybody's money. I'm not, I'm doing a job where I'm actually helping my community. And I loved it. And I left 7 years ago as assistant director from that school. We enrolled 90 students when I was there. When I left, it was 900 every year. And I was in charge of that. But I'm passionate. I love what I do.
I can tell. Maybe, what's interesting that you're here, Mark, on this particular episode, because we're talking about getting messaging out to students and getting them interested in these programs, maybe you guys could dish a little bit, Elvia, talk about how do you find these people, and Mark, how do you get the messaging to them, and how can it work better?
Well, in my background, it's all about the data. We're able to go ahead and precisely target the right audience, build out the right audience, utilizing our data, and then putting out in the ways where we can get in through social media. Of course, a lot of people go ahead and do a search on Google. Some people are looking at video content. We have the resources and the data in which to get into them. It's also about the messaging. So you have to understand the demographic. You have different age groups. You have different people who are in different points of their life. It could be either someone who's coming out of high school or someone who really wants to make a career change. So we have all that information where we're able to go ahead and feed the information to them and take our schools and put them into proper perspectives.
Elvia, what do you do to get the word out? If nobody knows about this, or not as many students do know about it that need to know about it, how do you bridge the gap?
So what I do is I try to think like a student that I was once, them, my demographic is them. So I'll go to high schools that are underserved and I try to get into the job fairs. I go into the career fairs. Then I also go to chamber events around our area because I want to tackle their actual, their little cities within Houston, because Houston's so big. So I'm in the Pasadena area where it's more industrial type work because those are the type of kids that are in the area. So my thing is I try to think like them, or I just think like myself, because I would think like, how would somebody approach me because I didn't have this opportunity, and I would listen to them, because these are kids that come from, underserved backgrounds. So some of them do have mentors, parents that are there, but and they just don't have money, but some of them don't. They don't have the guidance. They're foster kids that are aged out. They're homeless kids. They're human trafficked kids. So it's not just, kids that don't have money. It's kids that come with trauma. And I think a lot of people need to understand that whenever you're getting this type of money and grants, you also have to understand what type of demographic you're helping, because you want the money, you need to understand their struggles too. And you need to be able to support them in that, and not just, oh, you're too difficult. Well, yeah, you knew that because you take in that scholarship. So as schools, we need to understand that we are dealing with people that do have a background that is harder than the normal person, that they've been through obstacles. So we like to partner with nonprofits because we're for profit. So we don't cap ourselves, and we don't have that the state can't tell us, no, you can't help this many people. Why not help more people? Why, and a lot of people have that misconception of for-profit. You're for-profit, oh, you just want money. No, if the results are there, the data is there, it's 100% completion, 100% placement, then what's the problem making money, helping people? There's no problem with that. We actually need these money to get better equipment for these kids. So, it all goes hand in hand. So there's a lot, as you can see, there's a lot of things and issues that I'm trying to change within the education system in skilled trades, the mindset, of students and the mindset of parents in trades, and of course also employers, because so many high school, so many colleges and universities, they don't understand the trades aspects of school. They think still, higher education as virtual, things like that, but you got to critically think when you're doing trades. You got to get sapped here and there, okay? If not, you're not going to be scared, and you need to. It's a safety protocol, you got to be scared. If not, then you're going to get hurt out there. So how are you going to get virtually scared? You're not. So I do 80% hands-on training. That is non-negotiable. You have to be able to do these things and produce the same thing at work.
Do you do anything virtually at all? Are students looking for it more, or do they want to come in and just do it all, get their hands dirty, so to speak?
They think they want to do it virtually. That's what they think. And then because I have been approached by great programs that are virtual programs, well thought out programs, but the student is still not engaged, and the kinetic learners are not being engaged because they want to, that's what they like to do. They like to get there, in there. So I feel like if it was a longer program, since my program's only 8 weeks, if it was maybe a year program, that would be awesome. Virtual reality, Oculus, I've seen them, and doing electrical work. And then you go into the lab and you do the same thing. That's amazing because, you got the best of both worlds. But my program's only 8 weeks. So it doesn't make sense But I think depending on what program you have, it needs to be based on the way that what industry you're tackling, so that's big. You can't really understand electrical only in theory. You have to, construction and residential and commercial, you can, unless you're going to be only an engineer. I don't think that, I don't think that's right.
Mark, can you market to modality? Like, is there a way to zero in and market to people who want on-ground education or don't, or it's impossible to know, so you have to serve them different options? I mean, how does that look?
No, we can take a look and we see what people are looking for. There's a lot of data that's out there. So if somebody's taking a look at career choices, things of that nature, we know that we have a very good audience. The other part is that, what Elvia was talking about, and I'm going to bounce this off of you. Have you had any opportunity to talk to the guidance counselors at some of the schools?
Yes, I talked to some of them, but again, we go back to who is in front of you and who is accepting the information and delivering it back to these students, because sometimes us as educators can be so biased within ourselves that we don't and we don't even notice it, So sometimes if it's a school that is more of a, performing school as far as not really for trades, they might not see the vision or understand the data backed up by the Department of Labor, saying that, hey, this is a really good thing for your kids. They might think they're doing them a disservice because they still think as trades as being lower class. And it is where, man, there's money there. If you can just see the money there, it's just crazy. I tell these kids, success to me, when you come back in 5 years, is not working for somebody else. Success to me is you having that license, making it into master electrician, getting your own company, going to the city of Houston and doing contract work for them. That is success to me. And I can show you how to do that if you stay in contact with me, because once you're a student, you're always going to be our student. So that's the type of motivation these kids need. And that's the type of motivation they need, because it is possible to be, your own business owner in these type of trades.
And I tell you what's kind of fun is we're not only going directly to the student, but to the influencers, to the parents, to the guidance counselors. So we're able to go ahead and drop a net over a school, for instance. And now we're able to go ahead and serve a badge. So we'll go ahead and start penetrating and getting the word out to the students. And also guidance counselors, anybody, teachers.
Yes.
There are teachers who are not only teaching, the kids as far as the curriculum, but also they're discussing life options with the students. So if we're able to get that message to the right person at the right time, they're also the influencers. So
one thing that I have noticed as well that I've been doing that I feel like it's been working for me is, on Facebook, you have neighborhood, actual like groups. Well, I'll do the neighborhood group that is around my school, and I'll reach out to those kids that are just on Facebook doing nothing. I'm like, hey, and it's free. I'm just like, hey, a new school here in South Houston. If you're interested, we have free scholarships. There, whoever's interested, they'll start messaging me, and then I'll, connect with them. I also talk to probation officers, because they're the kids that need the help, and they're the ones that know, like, hey, this kid is not too far out there yet, that he can still get some help here. And we can put him in a trade and he can be busy and go to work before he gets in the wrong, crowd, so things like that. CPS, nonprofit fosters, nonprofit traffic, support, things like that. That's where I'd like to do more organic and more face-to-face, because I don't think people understand how big and how much they can get from these type of trades. And I feel like it doesn't come in an email for me. I can say it better than I can type it.
Elvia, you talked about this, and I think this is a really important point to talk about. This, it's like the spectrum of student support that exists. You reference students that might have some kind of trauma, whether trafficked, and you think about that, how mind-blowing that is, but some type of trauma, all the way to, the 1%, so to speak, going to this elite university or that elite university. And there's been so much discussion around, these types of colleges can serve these types of students. And that's been something that it's been evolving over time. For-profit institutions, no matter what you think about them, they put in a incredible infrastructure of student support that at the time community colleges or any other college could not replicate. That's why for years, for-profit colleges and universities grew, and trade schools grew immensely, huge. And higher education now gets to a point where, they go, can we be all things to all people? Can we serve this person that we're used to serving and now go serve this student with trauma? And you think of what that spectrum looks like, and the spectrum of support that has to be implemented for the student on one end and the student on the other is vastly and incredibly different. Can you talk a little bit about what that support system looks like for the students who have some kind of trauma, who have no self-confidence? And I mean, very, very little self-confidence in most respects, going, can I even do this? And if I get in and get this money, I know it's free, but now I don't have as much skin in the game, so it's easy for me to leave, and I'll use anything as an excuse to leave. I mean, there's just so much more support that has to be put into the students at that end of the spectrum.
No, definitely. You have to, it's a community team effort. You cannot, as a school, only do this on your own if you're trying to tackle this demographic. So I know that, and that's a big part of me. I love community work. I've always been a person where I like to be around people. I like to feed off of their good energy. I like to bring, good resources to the underserved community. I've always been that voice of people whenever it's been injustice, and it's just always been in me. I just never knew it was going to take me here. So I'm grateful for that. But yes, there's here in Houston, and in Texas, there's amazing contractors from the Department of Labor. And then there's amazing nonprofits that, because I made it my career to understand my trade and understand the school system as far as under the Department of Labor, I'm able to connect these nonprofits and get them grants through the state, tell them, guide them, not get them, but guide them. And I was like, hey, there's a grant here. If you partner up with us, you can provide the supportive services. I provide the education. We work together. The student is now being assisted both ways. You're giving them gas, you're giving them housing, I'm giving the education. That's not being paid to me, that's on y'all. And I'm just getting paid for the education. And when you work together like that, it's beautiful, because we're in the same, I'm very big on communication, and I understand, I know what these students deserve and what is for them. So I'm their voice as well. So I make sure that I don't work with nonprofits, organizations that these students are just money to them. No, because again, these kids already been through too much. We don't need to do that to them again. And you will be surprised. Nina, it's an ugly world in the education system, and people don't understand it. And it's a beautiful world as well. There's so much opportunity, but there's also, just like everything in life, there's a good and the bad. So, we got to make sure that we have that integrity, and we keep ourselves humble, and we keep ourselves in check, because people depend on us. This is not just anything. This is a service to better their life. I take that to heart. I make sure that I take care of my students, because I need to make sure that when my son goes to college, he's 14 now, somebody does that for him, and I believe when you do good, it's going to come back to you.
Mark, you want to slip in any last minute questions before we close it out?
I just want to see, besides, everything that's going on as far as the politics that are taking place, the things that are changing inside of the, especially for profit, how have you been tackling those issues, and what issues are you facing these days?
So the beauty of my school is a state approved school. So I'm in Texas, so I'm not federal school. So I still have a lot to say in my school, and that's beautiful for me, because I feel like I understand what my students need. So I'll be the voice for them again. And if I don't need to add any extra, things and extra money on their tuition for anything other than, what they just need to do, then I'm going to do that. And I rather not make more money, because there's enough to make anyways, and do it the right way, and do it the way they need it. They are kinetic learners. They're the ones that are underserved, and that's the student I'm serving. I'm not talking about every student. I'm not talking about, student that, there's beautiful other things that there's people can do that I'm not going to be able to help you. My way is not the only way you can do it. I'm just doing it this way for the kids that can benefit from this way. And we've trained 35 since April 2022 of this year. This is when we first got our first contract for young adult scholarships, and we have placed all of them, and they all have completed, and they are we're all working from $14 to $22 an hour. So it can be done. It can be done. And so I love it. And we are gauged. I didn't answer that question. The state does make sure we are at a 60% completion and placement rate every year. If not, you do not have the license to be able to do this. And if you don't have the license, you don't have the scholarships, which you should be held accountable. I'm at 190%. So I'm meeting my guidelines very well.
Yeah, which brings the whole student support conversation back into it. Because if you can't place them, if you can't finish them off and you can't place them, there's a reverberating effects which affect the contracts, right? So it is truly about the day-to-day management and student service to keep them motivated.
Our motto here is don't just learn, earn. That is my slogan here. So that is really it. We live by that.
Well, we like to ask our guests 2 final questions that end every episode. Elvia, number 1, what do you want to say about Texas Tech Trade School that hasn't been said? Anything that you want to say, plug your own institution, why it's important, whatever you want to say. And number 2, what do you see as the future of higher education?
First one, the future of higher education, it is going to be more trades. People are already doing it. They see where the lack was, now they're getting on it, and I see it everywhere. It's popping up within even companies. They're getting their own, trades academies. So I feel like that's going to be a lot of that.
And what do you want to say about Texas Tech Trade School that hasn't been said?
It is the best trade school here in Houston, Texas, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first, let me say I love this conversation. Anytime we can highlight the trades and the importance of the trades, again, you don't fully understand the impact that the trades have until you need somebody that does something and you cannot find them, or you have to wait a long time to get a service done. And you go, wait, we need to get more people involved in these trade programs. Somebody that is doing something about it is my guest today, but of course, we wouldn't have shepherded her through the EdUp experience without my guest co-host. Here he is again, Mark Conman. He's Senior Account Executive, Digital Marketing and Advanced 360 Education. Mark, thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, my friend. Well, my esteemed guest, if you go to Houston and you want to know about the trades, I can guarantee you she's going to make you feel passionate about the trades and the work that she's doing. Here she is. She's Elvia Quintanilla, and she's the owner of Texas Tech Trade School. Elvia, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you guys so much. Anytime you're in Houston, stop by. We're here. Google us, find us in social media.
I'm going to come down and talk to you.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, by Kate Colbert and Joe Salustio, with contributions by Elvin Freites, is now available for pre-order on Amazon. Get your Kindle edition or your softbound book. It's going to be
amazing.